Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Going to Bat with Team Irie. This is episode number 32. If you want to watch some of the previous episodes, you can scroll down the foundation page here and watch those episodes. And if you're interested in some of the upcoming episodes, you can keep an eye on our foundation page here. We usually post them the day of or the day before. And if you want to donate to our cause, which is raising money for spinal cord injury research and also high school baseball and softball scholarships, you can go to our website and find our events there that we do in public too when we're allowed. When the governor and Mr. Ryan Lemond lets us do this, we'll do a little bit out in public and raise money that way. You can check out our events at dif35.org. Tonight's guest is one and only Ryan Lemond, which we appreciate you being here. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, my man? I've been looking forward to this.
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you being on the show. It's an honor to have you here, and a lot of people know you, so this is really going to be fun. We always like to start out a little bit, to get to know the person that we're interviewing. So if you don't care, could you tell us a little bit about how long you've been at KSR there and kind of like your path to getting where you are today?
Well, I've always been in the media, broadcasting. I started out, really, my background's in TV. I worked in TV in Evansville, Indiana, from 1989 to 1996. I was a weekend TV guy there. And then I came over to WLEX in Lexington in 1996. And I was the main sports guy there at Channel 18 WLEX for about 12 years. And then I just got out of the business. I got out of the TV business. My wife and I had a couple boys, and I just got tired of the hours, to be honest. In TV, you're working till midnight every single night, and you're working every single weekend. And I just couldn't really be the dad that I wanted to be. I got tired of going to everybody else's games, and I couldn't even go to my own kids' games. And David, I remember one night we were sitting at the dinner table, and my oldest son, he was 9 years old at the time. And he said, "Dad, are you going to miss my game again tomorrow night?" And something clicked that night, and I said, "No, I'm not." And something's got to change. So I got out of TV in 2007 and became a real estate agent. I'm a realtor, but I was still just filling in on local radio shows. I was the guy in the bullpen. I was Rob Dibble. I was Randy Myers. I was the guy in the bullpen when they needed somebody to fill in. So I was filling in on all these shows. And that's really how I got into KSR. Matt needed a fill-in guy one time in 2011. He had just started KSR in Louisville. And on Mondays and Tuesdays, he had Mark Krebs. And on Wednesdays and Thursdays, he had Perrin Johnson. And then on Fridays, he just had his producer, Big Easy, kind of doing it with him. So Mark Krebs needed a day off. So he knew that I was filling in on these shows in Lexington. So he asked me to fill in one day. And I'm not kidding you, David. The next week, Mark Krebs told him, "I got a new job. I'm leaving. I can't do Monday, Tuesday anymore." So Matt asked me, "Man, would you be interested in doing every Monday, Tuesday on this show?" Well, the timing was pretty good because KSR is 10 to 12, and I still had the rest of the day to do all my radio stuff. So I said, "Yeah, I can do it." And I'm not kidding. It was like a week or two later, Perrin Johnson got a new job. He's like, "Man, can you do Monday through Thursday?" And just in a matter of a month or a month and a half, I went from being a fill-in guy to being there all week. And I started in May. And then in October of that year of 2011, we got on in Lexington, on WLAP in Lexington. And that's when KSR just took off. Yeah. We got on in Lexington. We got on all these affiliates all across the state. David, nobody could have predicted what happened. Nobody saw it coming. And if they try to tell you we knew it was going to happen, they're lying. Nobody knew KSR was going to explode like it did. But that's how I got started. I came in as a fill-in guy, and then Matt just couldn't get rid of me, basically.
Well, you're a pretty good asset for him, so you can't complain there. Brandon Walker, which I know you know him, he said this was amazing, dream come true, having you on the show. Chris Lawson, the Jeffersontown high school baseball coach. He said, Matt Jones who? He said, David Irie and Ryan Lemond, new host of KSR. So, and then John Holder, he says, nice hat, fellas. Are sour, but Chet's got the power. Thanks for coming on the show, Ryan. Been a while.
Hey, if somebody's calling me Chet, they know it's Kentucky Wesleyan. I swear, nobody knows my real name from Kentucky Wesleyan. Now all they do is call me Chet. That's it. That was my nickname from the minute I got on campus, and that's all they know. So if somebody's calling me Chet on the comments, that's a Kentucky Wesleyan person for sure.
Well, his son Sammy, which is the head coach here in Lewis County, pitched ball the last few years. I guess he graduated year before last down there, but yeah, he was a pitcher for Kentucky Wesleyan.
I know we're going to talk about Kentucky Wesleyan, but I got to ask you something, David. I looked at some of your podcasts, and all you seem to have are these great, like, former ball players: Al Oliver, Willie Blair, Johnny LeMaster, Pat Darcy, and then Kentucky Wesleyan guy. I mean, you got to branch out a little bit, I think, don't you, David?
Well, I try to keep it between Cincinnati and Lexington, and it's like a weird-looking triangle. But you go from Cincinnati to Paintsville to Kentucky Wesleyan to Louisville, so that's my area.
Gotcha.
So, another question, and you talked a little bit about that, about how Kentucky sports radio got started. But how did Andrew Jefferson and Chris Tomlin? What kind of role did they have in that? Because my Uncle Bob was, taught down in Mason County. Now, they were some of his former students. How did they kind of help in that role?
Yeah, that's a good question. They all went to Transylvania. Matt Jones, Andrew Jefferson, which we all call Hubby, Chris Tomlin, the Turkey Hunter. All these guys went to Transy. And basically just as a hobby, as a way that they can all talk about UK basketball, they developed this website, Kentucky Sports Radio, with a vision of someday that they would probably do podcasts. Podcasts were just kind of starting. And they came up with this, a true story, in the basement of some dorm at Transy, where they came up with this little website where they could talk trash and talk smack in chat rooms. Chat rooms were just starting in that era of coming out. Websites and chat rooms, that was the new thing. That was the popular thing. So really, Hubby, Andrew Jefferson, and Chris Tomlin and Matt started this just for their own amusement. And that's the truth. They just did it for themselves. And Matt left Transy and went to Duke Law School. And that just even got it even more involved, where Matt could kind of stay in touch with these friends that were back here in Lexington. And then it just kept growing. And they told their friends, and they told their friends. And it just kept growing and getting more involved. And it went to another level when Patrick Patterson and Jay Lucas, their recruitment and whether or not they were going to consider Kentucky or come to Kentucky, that's where the website Kentucky Sports Radio went to being a frat boy, neighborhood, friends-only chat room to a newsworthy source. And they had information about Patrick Patterson and Jay Lucas that nobody else had. Nobody. And I remember I was at Channel 18 at the time, and we quoted Kentucky Sports Radio website, one of our news stories one time, because they had some information nobody else had. And I saw Matt like a day or two later at a news conference or something. And that's the first time I had ever met Matt. He came up to me and he thanked me, because that was a big deal that they got like legitimately recognized for some work that they were doing on this recruiting of Patrick Patterson and Jay Lucas. And that's how Matt and I met. And that's really how I think started our friendship of one another that led to where we are today, to be honest. And it just kept growing and took off. And they're good writers. They're not afraid to take stabs at each other. Back in those days, maybe they were maybe a little too harsh on some people, but it was funny. And it was the college, grab that college crowd that just kept growing. And Andrew, to this day, Andrew Jefferson is still one of the owners. There are 3 basic owners of the website, and Andrew Hubby is one of them. Matt Hubby and Drew Franklin are the basic owners of the website.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And then you've got a connection here in Kentucky, of course, when later on, but you're an Indiana boy. You're a Hoosier boy, and you grew up in Indiana, and you've got a good connection here at the University of Kentucky, and with the sports and everything. How does that play out in Indiana with your family and your roots there? I mean, do they allow you back into Indiana?
Yeah, there was a time, David, in my life that there was no doubt I was going to be the starting point guard for Bob Knight and the Indiana Hoosiers. I mean, I grew up in Indiana. My dad was a high school basketball coach. I went to Bob Knight basketball camp as a 6th grader, as a 7th grader, and as an 8th grader. And there was no doubt I was going to be Mr. Basketball in the state of Indiana, and I was going to play for the Indiana Hoosiers. Of course, being a 5'8" point guard that averaged 6 or 7 or 8 points a game ain't going to win a scholarship to Indiana to play basketball. So my dad was my coach. I played 3 years varsity basketball for my dad. It was probably one of the greatest experiences of my life playing for him. But we didn't win a lot of games, but it was like those 3 years were probably, like I said, one of the best times of my life. Basketball in Indiana is king. And growing up in Southern Indiana, it gets ingrained in you that you are an Indiana Hoosier fan or you're a Purdue fan and you don't like Kentucky. And then I started working in the media, and it became very obvious that you are the devil when it comes to covering the Indiana Hoosiers. If you're trying to cover the Indiana Hoosiers and you work in the media, you are the devil. And I got to the point where I couldn't stand the Indiana Hoosiers because of having to deal with Bob Knight. It gave me anxiety where I couldn't stand it. Then I get the job in Lexington, and it was like, oh, Luke Pitino's the coach. In 96, they go to the Final Four, win the national championship. 97, they go to the championship. 98, Tubby Smith here, and he's the nicest human being coaches I've ever met in my life, win the championship. Tim Couch is here, and the football goes to the Outback Bowl. I mean, it's like I walked into this nirvana, and it was just like the easiest thing to just ditch being an Indiana fan and become a Kentucky fan. I mean, it's like the easiest thing ever. Now, with that said, I do want to say I was a huge Kyle Macy fan growing up. Kyle Macy was from Indiana. His dad was a coach. He was Mr. Basketball. That was going to be me. So when Kyle Macy was at Kentucky, I was a huge Kyle Macy fan. I tell him that all the time. When he went to Purdue, I was going to go to Purdue. And then when he went to Kentucky, I remember there was a point in my life like, okay, I got to go to Kentucky now because Kyle Macy went to Kentucky. So, but my family has all moved. They've left Indiana. My parents live in Florida. My brother lives in Alabama. My grandparents have all passed away. I really have no connection to Indiana at all. Only time I go back there is for a wedding or a funeral, it seems like. So they do let me back once in a while, but I don't go back very often anymore. My family's here. Everybody's in Kentucky, or like I said, my parents are in Florida now.
Yeah, I kind of figured they may have gave you a weekend pass or something to come back in. Yeah. But that's the basketball part of you. But you played baseball, of course. We talked about Kentucky Wesleyan there. I think you're the 4th or 5th guy I interviewed so far from Kentucky Wesleyan. But you played some pretty good baseball there. Do you still hold the record for the stolen base account there at Kentucky Wesleyan?
Well, David, I don't want to brag or anything, but since you brought it up, we might as well talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you brought it up, David.
Yeah.
Let's just, stolen bases in a game, stolen bases in a season, stolen bases in career. I mean, that goes back to the 80s. I mean, that's over 30 years ago, David, and it still stands at Kentucky Wesleyan. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. Yeah. No, but nobody ever believes it now. We talk about it now, and like, come on. There is no way you still hold a record like that. Yep. I know it, but we had some really good teams. I mean, we went to the NCAA tournament my junior year, and that was the first time a Kentucky Wesleyan baseball team had ever gone to the Division II NCAA baseball tournament. Now, the team, I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, just went back to the NCAA tournament. I think it was Division III NCAA tournament. They just made it back. It's the first time that they've gone to the NCAA tournament since we went in 1988. So, you know, for small school baseball, they only take, I know back then they only took 16 teams, I think, and we made it that year. So it was a huge deal. So we played good baseball, even though it was smaller scale. We came over, I know, my freshman year, and we split a doubleheader with Kentucky. And the guys on the team from Kentucky to split a doubleheader, they acted like we'd won the World Series that year. I mean, it was huge to split a doubleheader with Kentucky. Now, granted, in the second game of that doubleheader, Kentucky played all their underclassmen, but it didn't matter. We split a doubleheader with Kentucky one time.
Yep, that's pretty good. And, you know, getting to the serious part of this. Now, I heard I read a little scouting report this morning, and I hate to throw that out there, but they were talking about your Kentucky Wesleyan days and you know, your nickname Chad, and you can talk a little bit how you got that nickname here in a minute. But, you know, the guy that was interviewing, I think he was a buddy of yours.
Yeah.
He said that when you played there, you couldn't hit your weight, and you also had an arm of a 6-year-old little leaguer. You know, is this guy still your buddy?
That's, you know, that's part of baseball, man. In the dugout and in the locker room, if you can't rip on your teammates, then something's wrong with you, I think. But that's partly true. You know, I wasn't a big hitter. I just get on base and steal second, steal third, and score on a ground ball. Man, that's all I had to do. If you know, so, and it didn't have the best arm. That's why I played left field. They put the guy with the worst arm in left field, don't they? That's where I played. So.
Yep. So how did you get the nickname Chet?
Well, you remember the professional player Chet Lemond. So our freshman year in 1985, I think there were like 11 freshmen that came in my recruiting class, 11 of us. We're all in the dorm, and the upperclassmen who had been out drinking that night, they came in, and they're like, okay, we can't remember all you guys. They gave us all nicknames that night, and like one dude's name was Chris Gamble. Well, he became Oscar Gamble. To this day, we still call him Oscar. For me, I became Chet Lemond because of the outfielder Chet Lemond. To this day, I am still Chet Lemond. We still call a lot of those dudes by their nickname that we got that night of our freshman year from those drunk upperclassmen that came running in our dorm room that night because there was so many of us. They said, we can't remember all of you, so we got to give you a nickname. But that's how I got it, and it stuck. It sticks to this day. I used to get mail from Kentucky Wesleyan addressed to Chet Lemond. Like, I don't think they knew my first name.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. And my Uncle Bob Irie there, he said maybe he played lemon ball. Now, I know you probably don't know what lemon ball is, but growing up in the 80s, we didn't play wiffle ball. That was too easy. So we used to get those little 4.5-ounce plastic lemons, and that's what we would play wiffle ball with because we had pitches that would really break. He had one called the oopsie and different things. So that's what we done growing up. We didn't play, of course, wiffle ball. It didn't break big enough or enough. So we played lemon ball, but I don't think that's where you got that name. That's what Bob was wondering. He thought maybe you got your name there.
No, that was from Chet Lemond. I mean, like I said, we beat good. We beat Indiana in a legit game one year. We beat Wichita State Division I team. We beat Division I team as a Division II team. We could play a little bit. Exactly.
And Brandon Walker, he said, Dave asked for Nolan Ryan. I got Ryan Lemond.
Well, there's a little bit of difference there. He could throw hard. He could throw fast. I could run fast. Which one do you want?
That's what I was thinking, the same thing before you mentioned that. Mike Long from Estill County, he said, great to see you guys spotlight Estill County today, Ryan Lemond. A lot of folks with this distinguished high school, college athlete careers came from there. So he was thanking you for spotlighting that. And Willie Blair's on here tonight, and he's laughing.
Hey, Willie Blair, we talked about Willie Blair before we came on. Willie Blair is one of the most underrated players to ever come out of this area. I mean, he is. One day, I'm walking through Walmart, and there's Willie Blair pushing a shopping cart in Walmart. And, like, here's this guy pitched in the big leagues for, like, 12 years, and nobody even recognized who he is. I'm like, that's Willie Blair. Willie Blair in Walmart, people. Do you realize who this is? It's Willie Blair, for crying out loud. Super guy, humble guy, but one of the most accomplished baseball players to come out of our area.
Yeah. And he's very humbled about it. I mean, he doesn't feel like he's done anything great, and he's played 12 years in the majors. He was talking about, that he done very well against throwing against Tony Gwynn, but Barry Bonds kind of owned him, and he was talking about getting Cal Ripken out. It's like blowing my mind when he starts throwing these names out there that we watched, and it's like, it's just me,
Hey, the year Mark McGwire hit 70, whatever it was, 1 home runs, they interviewed him, and they said, who's the hardest pitcher for you to hit off of? And Mark McGwire said, Willie Blair.
Wow.
You look it up. He said that during an interview. He said, Willie Blair.
That is wild, and it's funny. Something like that happened on here when I asked Pat Darcy, and he didn't know the connection between me and Al Oliver. I asked Pat Darcy, I said, who was the one guy you didn't want to face that came to the batter's box? He said, Al Oliver, because he said Al Oliver was a line drive hitter, and he'd come up the middle. So I kind of like that. And John Holder wanted to know, who is your favorite professor at KWC?
Oh, that's a good question. Because obviously I was very much a scholar athlete at Kentucky Wesleyan. Favorite professor? Well, I was a mass communications major, so I had to take all those communication classes where I had Gary Drum like 2 classes every semester, and Gary Drum was like 4'6", and who else did I have? I had. Trying to think. Oh, I know. Bob Darrell. Bob Darrell was my favorite. He was a psychology professor. He had hair like Captain Kangaroo. Bob Darrell. Mary Sue Coy in English. She was really good. Those were probably 2 of my favorites.
That's really great. And, you talked about playing. I mean, you talked about being at WLEX and being a sports reporter. I mean, about your connection there earlier, but you were a sports reporter there. You worked with Alan Cutler. Now, how was that working with Alan Cutler as a person working with him? But also, do you have any good stories you can tell the public here about Alan Cutler?
First of all, I have the record for working with Alan Cutler the longest at Channel 18. Most people tap out after about a year, 2 years, 3 years. They can't handle it. I worked with the man for almost 12 years. I need to have a bronze statue for working with Alan Cutler for 12 years. We've had our battles. We've had our arguments. We had times we didn't speak to each other. But I'm telling you right now, though, he is as good as a father and a grandfather that you will find anywhere. I mean, he taught me how to be a better father, and now as a grandfather. And right now we're great friends. If I ever asked him to do something for me, he would do it, no questions asked. I mean, I know he would. But, boy, we had some battles when we were working to each other. I mean, we'd be on the phone, yelling at each other, screaming at each other. But that's just how it is in the newsroom sometimes. Good stories. I mean, there's awesome stories about Cutler. The things that he did over the years. Running out of the edit bay with the big scoop. Oh, I got a story. Oh, I got it. But you couldn't outwork the guy, man. I'm telling you, you could not outwork the guy, and you were glad he was on your team. And there were nights when there was a big story, you tuned in to see what Alan Cutler had to say about it. There's no doubt. People in the Lexington area would tune in to see what Cutler had to say about it. There's no doubt.
Wasn't he the one that ran down Gillespie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Who else would have done that? Who else in his cowboy boots would have run Gillespie down the hall chasing him just to get him to say something? And Gillespie says, "Are you really going to run with me, Alan?" And Alan says, "I can run with you all day."
Exactly. I remember that. That's why I had to ask that. But Brandon, he said, which this will be a tough question. He's got 2 questions here. You probably won't want to answer the first one. He said, so who was the drunk upperclassman? We better not answer that question. But he also said, who is Ryan Lemond's all-time starting 9 from the 606? Now, that's going to be a rough one.
39 basketball?
Baseball sounds like 9. if he's asking your starting 9 from the 606.
I don't know if I know the 606 baseball well enough to know.
Yeah, that would be a tough question. Kevin Gray from Beechwood, the coach up there, he said he met Coach Mingione last year at our game at UK, and he said, "What an awesome guy!" I was talking about Coach Mingione, and you, of course, you know Mingione there, and Tom Posey. He said, "Hello from Maysville and Go Cubs," which he's the Cub Scout that's always watching us here. Patrick Armitage today was asking me if you remember being in Owensville. He said, which he's the head coach over there at Bath County, and he said 4 or 5 years ago you were over there, and he talked to you, which he said you may not remember talking to him, but he said you were in Owensville. Do you remember being over there?
I absolutely remember being over there. My son was playing in a youth baseball tournament over there, and you can ask the coach. The temperature for that youth baseball tournament was 130 degrees that weekend. Every day. It was ridiculously hot. And my son, let's see, he would have been 8. I think it was a 7 and 8-year-old youth baseball tournament. And he actually suffered a little heat stroke. I think he was catching. And they only catching the kids like 1 inning at a time. It was so hot. And he got like pink cheeks, and he got like overheated. He got so hot. But yeah, I remember driving over there to Owensville for that youth baseball tournament. They got a nice little complex right there. It was really nice. We enjoyed it.
Yeah, he said that you were talking about how nice the complex was there, the backdrop and all that. Yeah. And Patrick Armitage, he's on here. He just commented, remembered it well, about the heat and how hot it was and everything there. So he just commented. This was coming from the J-Town coach. Asked me this today. He was talking about KSR is mostly football and basketball, about that in the state. What is your thoughts about baseball in the states and in the state here? And do your kids play, still play sports?
Well, I'll take the baseball question first. I'm a baseball guy, really. I mean, even though my dad was a high school basketball coach and I grew up in a basketball world, I kind of consider myself a baseball guy. And baseball across Kentucky is outstanding. I mean, I started in the Western Kentucky side of the state, and Paducah has produced some great baseball talent over the years. Steve Finley and Terry Shumpert. A lot of guys out of that area have gone on to play college ball. Obviously, even going to this side, the guy I was asking about the 606 baseball players, and it took me off guard a little bit, but if we sat and thought about it, we could come up with probably a bunch of good players other than Johnny LeMaster and Willie Blair and Mark Reynolds and some of these guys. If we thought about it for a little bit. But just where I'm at in Lexington, youth baseball in this town is so good. It's crazy good in this town, especially the youth baseball in this town and the high school baseball in this town. And usually whoever wins the 11th region is often the favorite to win the state tournament. It's just, I could not believe how good the baseball was at the youth and high school level when I got here. I'm used to how, like in Evansville and Newburgh, Indiana, where I thought it was like really, really good. Don Mattingly's from Evansville. And then I come over here and I'm like, holy cow, it is at a different level. And the teachers and the coaches and the instructors and the things that they do over here at this level, like, man, it's insane how good it is at this level. So I tell people all the time that, okay, yeah, you think Lexington is not a basketball town. It is not a football town. It is without a doubt a baseball town. And even across the state, baseball is really, really good. You look at the baseball players that come out of here, out of this town. Ben Revere, I know he's still in the big leagues. Austin Kearns, Chaz Rowe, I think, is still in the big leagues right now. I'm going to forget somebody. Robbie Ross. Kevin Jarvis obviously played in the big leagues for a number of years. I mean, Jeff Parrott. I mean, I know if we start thinking people, I'm going to miss some people, but there's just been a ton of baseball talent out of here.
You can't forget about Doug Flynn.
Doug Flynn, of course. He's the grandfather of all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Brandon said that would be a good question to think about, was the 606 counties, like you just said that too, but he said that would be a good one to think about and where they are now and all that. But yeah, so your kids, do they still play sports and everything?
My oldest son he's 22. He doesn't play. He played football up until he was an eighth grader, and he was on the middle school team that had Jedrick Wills. They were both on the defensive line, and he played on the defensive line with Jedrick Wills in middle school, and ended up getting a lot of tackles because they would run away from Jedrick Wills and would run to his side. So he ended up getting a lot of tackles. But then once he got to high school, he played tennis in high school, and then he didn't play anymore. My middle son, he gave up sports when he played his freshman year of football at Douglas, and then he broke his hip, and he hasn't played since. But my youngest son is 13, and he plays basketball. That's his sport. He's pretty good. I wish he still played baseball. All my kids gave up baseball when they were like 10 years old. You know, you get to that age where you go to player pitch, and yet that's the age you either love it or you don't. You're out there. There's a lot of ball four, wild pitch, ball four, a lot of standing around sometimes, and all three of them kind of walked, man. It killed me, man. I'm telling you, it absolutely killed me when all three of them kind of walked away from baseball at that age. But my 13-year-old, I wish he still played. He could be a decent pitcher. He was a pretty good pitcher, I felt like. But basketball is his sport. So to answer your question, really, I got one kid who's 13 that still plays basketball, and you're probably going to be hearing about him in the next couple of years. He's pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds great. And Bob Irie, he says John Shelby. He's talking. I guess they're talking about different ones. 606. Mike Long and Patrick Armitage both said Walker Buehler.
Yes. See, if we start naming, we forgot about Walker Buehler and T-Bone Shelby, both that need to be in that conversation.
Well, the one I thought of that came to my mind was none other than Cy Young Award winner Brendan Webb.
Of course. See, we're making our 606 lineup. He's the starting pitcher. Willie Blair is our number 2 pitcher, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We got exactly. Mark Williams at third, Johnny LeMaster at short.
Yeah.
Who's Earl Combs in center?
Yeah. And you put Austin Kearns out there, and Doug Flynn could be your second baseman.
Yeah. Oh, I thought we were just doing our 606 lineup.
Oh, that's right. 606. Maybe it was 606 back then before they changed to 859 in Lexington. But
that's true. That's right.
But then you had Drew Hall that was from up here. It has still, I guess, he was the highest draft pick ever out of the state of Kentucky. All these, like even the kids that came out of Harrison County, all these great high school kids that have played baseball over the years. It's just it's amazing. PRP every year just dominate. Christian County's had some good teams over the last couple of years. Yeah, and you can't forget about Greenup County Don Gullett.
Don Gullett, yeah. Joe Blanton.
Yeah. Yeah, we could talk about that all night. Bob Irie just mentioned Don Gullett too, so yeah, you've got Don Gullett. Now this right here is asking for a friend, and it was from a friend. Do you get concerned that Matt Jones gets too political on the show, and do you think that has hurt the ratings?
Well, I mean, politics, that's something he enjoys, and that's something that's important to him. And, I mean, he makes no secret about it. You know, hey, look, we're going to talk about the things that are important to the state of Kentucky. And you have to talk about political things that come up that are going to affect people in Kentucky, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not. If an issue comes up and it just happens to be political, we're going to address it. And sometimes it may, like I said, you may agree with it, you may not agree with it, but it's going to affect some of us, whether you're Republican, Democrat, black, white. We're going to hit it. We're not going to hide from it. So sometimes people don't like that. Sometimes they may turn us off, but that's who we are, and we've made no secret about that's who we are. Obviously, the ratings have not been affected by it. I mean, we're still the number 1 show in Kentucky, every single ratings book, every single year. So, you know, he's not going to change, and we're not going to change. We're going to keep doing it. And I know people would like for us to stick more to sports, but when we do stick to sports and we talk about the Will, the Mike, and the Sam, and we're going to play a 5-4 defense or 4-3 defense, people are going to tune out. You know, most of our audience are not that hardcore sports audience. Most of our audience wants us to talk about the one-hit wonder bracket and the serial bracket and the stupid stuff that we do. You know, that's who most of our audience wants us to hear us talk about this. And we're more of an entertainment show really than a sports show. And if the entertainment show involves us talking about some things that affect all of us in the political sense, well, then that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, and like I told you earlier before we came on here, I watch Hey Kentucky, and I watch it, to hear a little bit about the sports, but I mainly watch it just to watch Mary Jo Perino. So there you go.
Shame on you, David.
It's out there. But Matt Jones, I guess, wrote a book a few years ago. A guy was asking me about that, and somebody went to every county and questioned whoever, the different ones from every county about different things as concerning Mitch McConnell, I guess. But are you the one they sent to Vanceburg, or have you ever been to Vanceburg?
Vanceburg? I don't think I've been in Vanceburg. What county is that in?
Lewis
County? No, I've not been to Vanceburg. I don't think I've been to Lewis County, although that is the home of one Gary Kidwell, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he's the legend up here, Mr. Gary Kidwell, and I know him.
I am very familiar with Gary Kidwell, and I admire Gary Kidwell, but I have not had the privilege of going through or being in Lewis County yet. I look forward to that someday.
Well, you're going to have to come up and see us. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
Good deer hunting up here, so you can come up and deer hunt. Being a baseball player yourself, what's your feeling, or how do you think you would feel if you missed your senior year like these kids have this year?
Oh, tough. Yeah. I've thought about that too, man. If that was my senior year at my high school, which shout out to Pike Central High School in Indiana, go Chargers, or my senior year at Kentucky Wesleyan, it would have crushed me. I mean, it would have absolutely crushed me because, I was one of those diehard, gun-ho, I'm all in type kids, man. It would have crushed me. I would not have handled it very well. I seriously would not have handled it very well. And my heart goes out to those kids that missed their senior year. I don't know, man. Especially knowing if that was a senior at Kentucky Wesleyan and I lost my senior year, knowing that I was not going to get drafted and my baseball career was done. Oh, I would have been sad, depressed. I may have been one of those kids that may have gone back to school for another year just so I could play again. I'm serious. I may have done that. I wasn't going to play pro ball. Nobody's going to draft a kid that can't hit and can't throw and all he can do is run. So I may have to go back and play again.
Yep, exactly. And I know it's hard on them and something you'll never get back once you miss that senior year. Mike Long says somebody needs to get this in published form. Statewide, he's talking about Chris Snowpeck, Harrison County, White Sox, and then Brandon Walker says, cabin, kayak, Ryan, come on up.
Well, I heard the Chris Snowpeck. What's the other guy he said? Kevin Kayak. Who is that?
No, he was talking about come up to Lewis County so you can, we've got a cabin and you can kayak.
Hey, I'm all about kayaking. People don't understand. I am a country boy to its core. My hometown had 400 people in it. I grew up in the middle of nowhere, Indiana. There are no stoplights, nothing in my hometown. In my county, we had 2 stoplights, none in my hometown. I'm from nowhere. I kayak. I fish. I don't hunt, but I fish. I used to fish like every day. So I like to poke fun of Matt being from Middlesboro and Shannon being from Bullitt County. But to be honest, I'm the country boy of the group.
Well, you'd fit right in up here because we only have 2 stoplights in our whole county.
Yeah.
So you fit right in. I want to talk a little bit about. I want to talk a little bit about. Now, this is serious stuff here, and this is probably something that has affected you your whole life. Looking back on the experience, tell us a little bit about the jail time that you spent at KRS or KS bars. What's up with that? And is that the reason you're not a professional golfer?
Well, my stupidity and my inability to hit a 5-foot putt that cost me 6 days in KSR jail we turned that into this wonderful charity event that we ended up raising. What did we raise? Like $31,000. We had this stupid idea about trying to get me to hit these 5-foot putts, and each one that I missed was going to be 2 nights in jail, or I was going to get, what was I going to get? Like $100, I think. I think each one I hit was $100, or each one I missed was 2 nights in the jail. Well, of course, I missed all 5 of them. Here's the sad thing about it. During warm-ups, I was hitting them all. I was nailing everything. So much so, Matt even came up to me and said, hey, you have to miss at least one. We can't have built that jail and set all this up for you to hit all of them. You have to spend at least 2 nights in that jail. You understand this, right? I'm like, okay. I'll at least intentionally miss the last one if I have to. Well, then the first one lips out to the left. I mean, I hit it pure and it lips out to the left. Okay. The second one, I hit it pure and it lips out to the right. And now all of a sudden I'm thinking, holy crap, what is going on? I hit them true, hit them pure. One went left, one went right. And all of a sudden now that putter feels like it weighs 50 pounds. And the third one wasn't even close. Now I'm 0 for 3 and I'm done. I am completely done. Fourth one, missed it bad. And then they let Amanda hit one. She missed it. So I had supposed to have 10 days in jail. Matt cut it to 6 out of the goodness of his heart. But we turned it into that charity event. Yeah. We raised $31,000. It was insane. The generosity of people for my stupidity, my inability to hit a putt. We raised all that money for 3 charities. CASA, which was the foster parent organization that helped me adopt Josiah with. We gave them $9,000. We gave Matt's. I'm drawing a blank right now. He's got he has the seizures, diabetic seizure, not diabetic. What has he got?
I'm waiting for somebody to comment here.
Yeah, he has the seizures, and we gave them. He'll come and do this in a second. And the third one was Keith Madison's SCORE Foundation, which was he takes baseball equipment and teaches baseball to kids down in the Dominican Republic. So he split it up and gave them all the money. So it ended up being one of the greatest things we've ever done, to be honest, even though I had to spend 6 nights in KSR jail.
Epilepsy.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, Derek Harris is the one that just said that on here. So so we've got people watching, and Willie Blair just said it too, and Willie's laughing, I guess, about your golfing, about the putting and stuff. But Brandon Walker, he said you love Concord, cars, and Quick's Run up here. And Bob Irie, my uncle, says I'm from Jacktown, which is so small. The name Jacktown is on both sides of the sign.
Well, my town is teeny, teeny, tiny. But we did produce a baseball player that spent 21 days with the Montreal Expos in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Tim Barrett pitched for Indiana State University and the Indianapolis Indians and ended up for 21 days with the Montreal Expos out of my little bitty hometown. That's our claim to fame.
There you go. Too bad you couldn't live in Frenchburg? Or French Lick, Larry Bird.
That's like 35 minutes from my hometown. Yeah. Yeah, we used to play in my high school basketball. Here's a funny story. My dad, when he was high school basketball coach, coached against Larry Bird. And he said he was so proud. He goes, yeah, we coached against Larry Bird. I said, well, let's get the scorebook out, Dad. Let's see how you did against him. Larry Bird was a sophomore. They held him to 35 points. I said, good job, Dad. You held him to 35 points as a sophomore. You did a real good job.
Oh, my gosh, that's pretty good. But Larry Bird, of course, which I don't watch a lot of pro basketball now, but he was always my favorite, watching him, and Michael Jordan, of course. So those are my 2 favorites. But, a guy was asking me today, and I researched a little bit about this. Since I'm losing, getting a little thin on top, he wanted me to ask your advice on hair transplants.
Oh, I've got it. Look at this. All of that, that's all new hair right there. And I've not had a haircut since the quarantine. My last haircut was March the 12th because we went to the SEC tournament on March the 13th. This is all hair that they took off the back of my head, and they took it one hair at a time and popped it in right here. That's all new hair right there from the back of my head and side of my head. And I'm just letting it grow. Obviously, I've not shaved, and I've not got a haircut since all the quarantine started, and my wife hates it. That's why I'm letting it grow. The fact that she hates it. If she liked it, I would have already cut it, but she hates it, so I'm letting it grow.
Yeah, I noticed you got closer to the phone there, so she couldn't hear you.
No, she's downstairs, so but I'm just letting it grow until we go on vacation, and because she hates it right now.
Some guy was asking me, and he said every time that I guess he was on WLAX and somebody hit a home run, you would say Yaka.
Yeah, Yaka.
Where did that come from?
Huh. This is a true story. You know, all of us growing up, and Willie Blair can attest to this. We're growing up, we're little kids. You play wiffle ball out in the front yard. You know, nobody does that anymore. When I drive around these neighborhoods, I never see kids playing wiffle ball out in their yard anymore. Never. But growing up, man, didn't we all play wiffle ball? Everybody played wiffle ball, baseball in the front yard. My dad had dead spots in his yard where first base was, second base was, third base, and home plate and the pitcher's mound. I never see kids play wiffle ball ever anymore. But we always played wiffle ball, and we had this big fat Albert bat. It had like had a normal handle, but it had like a big barrel on the end of the bat. And on the barrel, it said Yaka, Y-A-C-K-A. And so us kids, when we were playing wiffle ball, when we hit it, that's what we yelled on our front yard. Yak! And so when I started doing sports, my sports cast, I just started saying that when they hit a home run. It's just something stupid. That makes no sense. But for whatever reason, it caught on. So I just kept doing it. And then we got these celebrities to start saying it. So when somebody hit a home run, you know, like Johnny LeMaster stepped up to the plate, and then he'd swing, and then I'd drop in this, you know, a celebrity saying it. Like I had The Rock saying it. I had Kevin Richardson from the Backstreet Boys saying it. I had some of Greg Brady from the Brady Bunch saying it. I'd flash drop them in there saying it, just to kind of have some fun with it. And that's the story of Yaka and where it came from.
Okay, I've heard a few guys up here say Yahtzee. So I was thinking, well, maybe you meant Yahtzee, but yeah, I heard some Yahtzee. Scott Ratliff from Paintsville, he said, Ryan, if you can't do the 5-foot putt, hitting the ball across the river at Paintsville Golf Course is definitely out of the question.
Yeah, I've heard about that, Scott, that you got to hit it over a river at Paintsville Golf Club. Now, see, I can hit it. I just can't putt. Mm-hmm. What is it? You know, drive for show, putt for dough. See, I can hit it. I just can't putt. So bring me over to your golf scrambles. Just bring somebody else that can putt a little bit better, Scott.
Yeah, matter of fact, you talk about a golf scramble. The J-Town coach, Chris Lawson down there, is talking about doing one for our foundation. So I'll be in touch with you if we do a golf scramble down there, and it's going to be like a celebrity golf scramble whenever we can get it, maybe next year or year after. I'll be looking you up.
I'm the guy that you want to put on the first tee with a megaphone, and just so I can make fun of everybody when they come up there, make fun of their swing and their bag, and just harass them when they get ready to play. I'll be that guy.
Hey, that'll work. It doesn't matter. But you was talking about the wiffle ball. You know, we're talking about starting the lemon ball league back up here in Lewis County and building a little field, lemon ball field, and playing lemon. So you may not see wiffle ball, but you might see lemon ball coming back in Lewis County.
I can't believe you used to play with plastic lemons.
Yeah, you take the end of it off, and of course you would throw the lemon towards the batter because the air would catch that. And I had a pitch that would drop 6 foot and hit the strike zone.
That's the thing, man. Those wiffle balls had those holes in them. You could cut cutters and everything else.
Yeah, and the lemon cut a lot better than they did.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, so you know, we've got one more question here, and I know different comments are talking about the lemon ball. Willie Blair, yeah, Willie, come up and you can throw out the ceremonial pitch when we open the lemon ball field up here. But the last question, you talked about real estate earlier. Are you still into real estate?
Oh yeah, that is really my main job. I mean, I do KSR every day, but as soon as it's over, I'm out showing houses, and that's what I did all afternoon today. It's still trying to, you know, hustle and sell houses. That's still my moneymaker, how I support the family. It's not the radio show in KSR. So yeah, David, whenever you're ready to buy that $1 million house, or Willie Blair, whenever you're ready to sell that house over there, I don't know if you still live over there in Heartland, but you want to sell that house and buy Tim Couch's house, which is like 4.5 million. Let's go look at it. Let's buy that house out there. I know a real good realtor that can help you.
Hey, you know, I've got 300-acre laying here behind the house I'm thinking about selling. So there you go.
Hey, yeah, I got you. I could give you a total hookup right there. So,
there you go.
I enjoy it, to be honest. I like it. You can set your own schedule where I can still go. See, I wanted to do something where I could go to all my boys' practices and all their games. I didn't want to miss anything anymore. I was tired of missing their stuff. And now that Josiah is like, you know, going to all these basketball tournaments out of town, you know, I don't want to miss it. I want to go and I want to watch him play. He's not going to play forever, but by golly, I want to be there. I want to watch it. And so this job allows me to do that. So I'm not going to change right now.
Exactly. And, you know, they're going on about the lemon ball over here. Bob, my uncle, says, David can tell you, which this is before I got hurt, before I broke a neck playing baseball. He said, David can tell you all about it. He was the only guy to hit my oopsie pitch. It helped your hand and eye coordination. I never played baseball until high school, but only struck out 3 times total my junior and senior years, thanks to the senior lemon ball. But that's a true story. He only struck out 3 times in his high school career because the hand and eye coordination playing the lemon ball. So
playing lemon ball.
There you go.
How about that?
But we appreciate you being on here tonight, Ryan. It's been a pleasure. I really do appreciate you coming on, and stay in touch, and you know, be looking for an invite to a golf scramble near you.
Well, I'm really looking forward to this. I miss just the camaraderie of baseball, being in the dugout, being in the locker room, and just the crazy stuff, you know, guys would do in the dugout during the game. And that's just part of baseball that a lot of fans don't ever get to see and be a part of. And some of my best friends for life are the guys that I played with at Wesleyan, and we still talk, you know, sending each other text messages to this day. So I was looking forward to doing something like this. So anytime, Dave, I'll be glad to do it again.
All right, I appreciate it. We're going to probably do some before the Diamond Dinner that we have here in Maysville. That'll be here in the fall, hopefully, if the state allows us, where we bring in former Major League Baseball players, and we have a banquet here, and it's a fundraiser for the foundation. This will be our 3rd year for that. So, you know, we may have you on right before that this year.
Okay, I'll be glad to do it, man. Just give me a buzz.
All right, thanks, Ryan, for being on here. And Willie Blair says, great job, guys. So that's pretty good from a professional.
Yeah, you killed it, man. You rocked it.
There you go. Thanks, Ryan.
Anytime, dude. I enjoyed that. Call me back and we'll do it again sometime.
All right, sure will. Thank you.
We'll see you.